I don't know what happened. I completely lost signal. So I don't know when I cut off for you guys. I don't know when I lost you. So what questions are... That's a hawk. We have 2 hawks that live in the forest in front of us. And there's one today who's really talkative on this side. And then off in the distance, the other one is farther down the road and chatting. Chatty little... It's pretty loud. Yeah, they're really cool. They're red-tailed hawks. And thank you. Oh, yeah, that's Grit. I didn't realize she was back there. She's playing with a string. So what are your thoughts on that? Forgiveness stuff. Thank you. I don't know what happened to the signal. It's pretty cool. We love these hawks. We have hawks, and now I found out as of last night we have screech owls out there, which I thought were horses. So the forgiveness and building your story. Can you think of an incident where you've done that? And how much energy it cost you? Hello, California. I can think of lots of them where I spent a lot of energy building my case against the other person. Yes, Tanya. It works better when I'm willing. Yes. I've done that so many times too. Oh, years. Oh, it hurt so much. What Byron Katie talks about is how the incident happened. And then in our minds, it keeps happening and happening again and again. Because we just keep going over it. And we argue in our heads and we build these scenarios and we hurt our bodies and we hurt our souls. And the point of the oneness with Source that the Course in Miracles is talking about all the time is we can't actually hurt ourselves except through our own stories about events. Yeah, I felt so justified at the time, right? Totally righteous judgment. Like, you fucker. You did this, and you're a jerk, and I have every right to be angry, and all of that it's true. They were a jerk. You do have a right to be angry, but you have to go through it and get out on the other side, and I really feel like we're just not taught that. It is our thoughts that continue to hurt us, right? It takes so much energy to hold on to hurt, and they're fine. Dang it, right. The most aggravating thing about my husband when we first started living together is that we could have like this huge argument, and that bastard would go to sleep, and he would sleep all night like a baby, and I would be up like, pulling my hair and gnashing my teeth. I think Jess said yesterday, gnashing of teeth and rending of garments, I was so angry. And he would be in there sleeping, and that would make me more pissed. Like, how could you be in there sleeping after we just had this huge argument, and I'm up, and I'm upset, why aren't you? So then I did childish stuff like slamming cabinet doors, and maybe flipping lights on and off, stupid stuff. Stupid things that felt really good at the time. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to admit the things I've done when I've been mad at him. Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So we hurt ourselves far more than the original pain of the incident. Hello! I've seen you in other people's scopes, Mannequin. Haven't I seen you in Sarah's? You have a unique handle there. Amanda! Hi, Amanda. Did anyone see Sarah Ballard's scope last night with the despacho? That was awesome, and that is a great way to let go. Gratitude's a good way. When you're stuck and you are building your story, we know better now. Yeah, people, we just don't learn it, right? And then sometimes, unfortunately, even when we know better, we still act like brats about our pain. The despacho was truly beautiful. You guys, if you haven't seen that, go find the replay. She is Thrive with Sarah, Sara, and it's on Katch too. And the despacho ceremony, I got a huge amount out of it with the gratitude. Gratitude's a great antidote to non-forgiveness, to being stuck in that place. Got to do a despacho, go with my family now. Yay! Yeah! If you can't, so say someone hurts you and you're stuck in that place of judgment. And the Course in Miracles is all about teaching you to let that go. And Byron Katie's work is not the only tool to let that go. Simple gratitude can help. When you sit down and you first ask the question of, can I be willing, or am I willing to experience forgiveness with this incident, with this person? And again, forgiveness doesn't mean you let them be in your space. If we can get to compassion, yes, forgiveness happens all by itself. And being in gratitude, especially the kind of intense gratitude last night, because let me tell you, last night's gratitude thing, about the middle of the way, I was like, I'm bored. I've said all the things I can think of to be grateful for, and now can we just wrap this up because I want to see how it ends. And now it's my, mind not wanting to go deeper. But I've caught myself doing that walking labyrinths too. About halfway through, I'm like, I'm bored. This is stupid. I'm done. I want to leave now. And if I stick with it, if I go, I almost feel like that's that tricky resistance stuff that Stephen Pressfield talks about. Like, you get about halfway, watch the replay. She set it up specifically so that people who watch the replay can add their stuff to it. And she's not going to burn it until tonight. So there's still time. There's still time, y'all, to get on the replay and add your gratitudes to that. And she's going to burn it this evening. And it's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. So powerful. So when you're reaching for something good, when you're reaching toward a new state of mind, resistance comes up to try and keep you, because your ego wants to keep you in your box, right? So resistance comes up. And if you let that resistance stop you, you lose out on some truly beautiful experiences. So if you make yourself go ahead and walk through that resistance, so I stuck it out through the gratitude. That's the first time I'd done one of those. And I stuck it out because I'm familiar with that tendency in myself to get about halfway to the goal and be like, I'm done, this is done. By sticking out, I got like enormous breakthroughs and huge openings in my heart. Yes, she saved space. And we said blessings for people who are going to watch the replay. She set it up. So it's not, the circle isn't closed yet. The space is still there. But going into gratitude, if you're willing, helps you reach that place of compassion. When you start to recognize that the person who struck out at you is being a jerk for a reason. All behavior has a reason, whether it makes sense to us or not. The hardest thing about working with adolescents, for years I worked with adolescents, and the hardest thing is figuring out what they're trying to achieve with their behavior. All their illogical behavior and risk-taking behavior and things that make you just want to murder them, it has a reason. They have something they're trying to achieve, and when you do your detective work and figure out what it is, you can solve the behavior problems almost immediately sometimes. It's almost heartbreaking, really, how we misunderstand adolescents in our culture and all that they go through. If we can start to see that other person as a wounded child, which is the only time we strike out and hurt other people is when we're wounded ourselves and we haven't learned to embrace our own wounds, we strike out at others because it hurts and it's what we do. So if you can get to that place of compassion by recognizing that that person who hurt you is hurting very much, you can forgive them and yet still have your distance. If it's like a domestic violence situation, you can leave that situation in love and peace. That's like the most extreme example I can think of at the moment. But you don't let that person back in. They still have their distance. You forgive for yourself, not for the other person. You forgiving that person isn't, very rarely is going to do anything lasting for them. But one of Sharon Salzberg books, I think, I'm going to forget what it is, so I'm not even going to say. But Sharon Salzberg tells a story of being with her Buddhist teacher in India. And a guy reached in and snatched her purse right out of the car. Or it wasn't a car, it was one of those little tuk-tuk things or whatever they were sitting in. A guy reached in and snatched her purse. And her teacher said, "Why didn't you hit him with your umbrella? You had an umbrella in your hand. Why didn't you hit him?" And she was like, I thought I wasn't supposed to. And the teacher was like, sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to stop them from hurting someone else. Because that person now has the bad karma of stealing your purse. Whereas if you had whacked him on the arm and stopped him from stealing your purse, then you would still have your purse, and that person's wouldn't have that karmic connection to you because he stole your purse. So you forgive, but that doesn't mean that you allow people to continue to hurt you. And I think that people can misinterpret that concept of forgiveness in that way. You have compassion for someone. You recognize that they hurt you out of their own pain. You get to forgiveness and peace for yourself. You restore your own sanity, because we're insane when we're doing that. When we're seeking defense and we're seeking fortifications for our false story, we're crazy. We act crazy. We feel crazy. We say crazy shit. We add pain to the original problem. When you can get to forgiveness and let it go, you have your peace back. And yet you recognize that person may not be a healthy person for you, and you may have to keep a permanent distance there. So, forgiveness isn't permission to keep hurting. What else? What other questions do you have, or comments, or if anything? It's tricky. Forgiveness is tricky. Being grateful for things that happened to you that were painful because of what they brought you is tricky. It's part of forgiveness. It's also tricky. I got robbed when I was 18, and we got robbed at gunpoint, me and 4 of my friends. And the guy on my side of the car, we were in our car, the guy on my side of the car hit me in the head with a pistol and gave me a concussion. It was a big disaster. I'm actually really grateful for that, because I think if that incident hadn't happened, I would have gone down a very different path, because I was pretty self-destructive then and pretty careless with my life. And in that moment, I'd started meditating when I was 16, and I had learned about putting basically all I knew at this point was about putting myself in a bubble of white light and the person who I was having an issue with in a bubble of white light. That's all I knew how to do at that time that I could think of quickly. So as we were being robbed, they shot our tires out, had guns in our heads. And as that was happening, I was flat calm. I wasn't afraid. I thought I might die, but I wasn't scared. And I just kept saying, I'm in a bubble of white light and you're in a bubble of white light. And my jewelry and stuff was the only stuff that didn't get stolen. My friend's stuff got snatched off her neck, and, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I did. We survived. That changed my life. That incident totally changed my life. And so I'm actually grateful for it. And I did have to go through a forgiveness process, because that head injury caused me problems. It messed me up later. It made life hard for a while. It wasn't like a devastating head injury, but now we know even small concussions and head injuries can impact you. But I'm very, very grateful that happened, because of where it shifted my life to. So, but I wasn't grateful until I could get through the forgiveness and the recognition that if I'm going to say there's no coincidences, if I'm going to say everything happens for a reason, then that means there's no coincidences in all cases. It can't be, well, there's no coincidences today because what's happening makes me happy. And then when something shitty happens, then say, oh, this can't be a coincidence. So you can't go back and forth. There has to be some consistency. So anyway, we'll wrap it up. So I've been talking now for a while. So, even with the bad stuff, sometimes the bad stuff is the best stuff in retrospect. And forgiveness is a lifelong project, absolutely. Especially for like the really hard things. The really, really hard things. Especially when you feel responsible. Or if it's something you have to forgive yourself for. Those are the hardest. But when you get there, what then is free to take its place is now the will of God. When you get there, you feel your connection. You're welcome. And I'm going to do this every day, rain or shine, even if that little number down there is 0. Because I'm doing it for me too. Doing it for whoever wants to be here. Whoever shows up that day is who needs to hear it. And DM me on Twitter if you have private questions or you want more help with anything. No, thank you. Now I don't have to figure out what book to do. I wanted to do a book, a daily book. Oh, thank you. And I couldn't figure out which one, so Jess, you just made the decision for me. It was really helpful. So it's fun. It's an honor, actually. So, okay. Thank you for coming. If there's no other comments, I will see you sometime tomorrow. I can't guarantee what time, but I will try to make it before noon on Eastern time so that you can take these things through your day. And remember to let yourself off the hook today. And let other people off the hook. And just say, I'm willing. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the shares. See you tomorrow.